record to this computer. All right, so we should be recording now. Thank you everyone for joining us for our first volunteer leadership development series of the year. This is a very timely program because we are going to be talking about 4-H Online 2.0. So just a couple things. As you guys are on here, I'm going to actually mute everyone. So as we get going, I will leave you unmuted, Cara. As we get going, if you have questions, you can unmute yourself or type it in the chat box. We will have time for Q&A at the end. So I would just suggest typing it in the chat box for now, and I'll kind of help Cara monitor that as we go along. But we are going to be talking about 4-H Online 2.0. If you have had a chance to visit the new website and log on, you'll see this lovely logo when you sign on there to the new website. Tonight, before we really dive into things, I really want to just remind people about our mission in Indiana 4-H, which is to provide real-life educational opportunities that develop young people who will have a positive impact in their communities and the world. So I think that's really important, again, as a reminder, just as we talk through tonight, because we know that we've had all sorts of different experiences with 4-H Online, and we know that this is something that all youth in our 4-H program will be involved with at some point as they get into our program. So some objectives for tonight. I hope that you can walk away knowing at least the basics of 4-H Online 2.0. Learn what you see when they enroll. So we are going to walk through what an actual enrollment looks like, just so you can see as a volunteer, as a leader, maybe help youth that might have questions in your club or project. And then what it's points involving enrolling as a volunteer. We're not going to do the whole volunteer enrollment process because it is very similar to what a youth goes through, but we're going to give some tips and pointers as you get enrolled as a volunteer. And then we're going to talk about what leaders can do and see in 4-H Online from the back side of things, and how you will be able to communicate with our 4-H families. And then, like I said, we will have time for Q&A. This meeting is recorded, so we will be uploading it to our YouTube video after tonight, so that those that couldn't join us will be able to revisit. Again, if you have questions, feel free to type those in the chat box. Please stay muted otherwise, so we can have our wonderful guest presenter, Cara Harbison, who is coming to us from the State 4-H office. She is our State 4-H Data Management Support Facilitator. I had to actually look on her email to make sure I got all that correct. You may recognize Cara because she was in our office for a short period of time. And so we are very proud to have her from the Hendricks County team go up to the State 4-H office and be a wonderful asset to our program there. So I am going to turn it over to Cara. And if you want to introduce yourself or if I missed anything, Cara, feel free to add on. But we are going to start off with our basics. And I will stop sharing my screen. You can share yours.
I'm going to share mine. All right. Good evening, everyone. It's nice to see some familiar faces. Glad to be talking back with the Hendricks County group. Miss you all. So you'll see on my screen right now, this is what it looks like when you visit the new 4-H Online website. That is v2.4honline.com. Looks like this for everybody. So you will log in if you were so for families, if you're re-enrolling in the program, you will use the same login information you used with 1.0. If you're new, you will say, I don't have an account, and then they will set up an account. It'll ask them to pick their states, and they'll go through that process of putting in their personal information. I'm going to go in as a family that I have already created so we can see what the process looks like from somebody who would be re-enrolling. I gotta remember what my password is. I have a lot of different passwords. This is my Boilermaker family. So I would log in, like I said, using that old login that I had from 1.0. If I was coming in to re-enroll a member, so if this was Amelia Boilermaker and she needed to be re-enrolled, under this where it would say 4-H, it would say enroll now. I have already enrolled these members, but I'm going to add a new member so you can still see what that process looks like. If they were a new family and they were logging in for the first time, they had set up the family profile and they were ready to add a member, it would automatically jump them to this screen after putting in their family personal information. So when we're ready to enroll a member, they have to click on this 4-H. They'll click next. They'll put in their name. Oh, I wasn't paying attention. And we're going to say he was born. He's a brand new member. March 1st. So then it pops up youth years in program. If they were a mini 4-H member based off of their birthday, mini 4-H age, it would come up here as, I think it still says Clover Buds because that's what other states call it, but it is the mini years in program. If they were an adult, same thing, they put in their birthday. That is the big change from 1.0 to 2.0. Adults must put in their birthday. We'll talk about that too in a little bit. But then it would say adult years in program. So they would go ahead and put in how many years they've been in. So they're going to enter in their personal information, just like they would in 1.0. If they were returning, this would be already here for them. They'd just be reconfirming. This is a very large family, by the way. I have a lot of people in this household. He is like the head guy of the family. So once they get past that first step, this will ask everybody, I want to join 4-H as a new or returning 4-H member. They'll click the box, click finish, and it jumps them right into clubs. With an adult volunteer, it's going to do something similar. I'll actually step into that point when we get ready to talk about volunteers. But clubs, there's a little information they can read about clubs. We have added a new feature for families who are brand new. There's actually a club for every county that says, contact me to learn about clubs. So when the office sees that the enrollment has come through and this is selected as the club, we can now contact them and say, oh, you're new to our program, so let's help you pick the best club for your needs. So I'm in the training county, so I have 2 clubs to choose from. So I will go ahead and click the Boilermakers Club. Now, in years past, if they are in another county for another project or anything like that, then they would they have the option to pick another county to find that other club if they're dual enrolled. Projects. Again, all the projects are listed here, state projects, county only projects. So we're going to say that we're in arts and crafts.
Cara, while you're picking projects, can I add
I'll just say
can I add 2 things for the county level? You guys are going to notice that when they enroll in Hendricks County, the projects may be listed a little differently. So Cara's in a training county right now. For example, in Hendricks County, our Create Your Own Thing program is actually listed under a STEM project. So it says STEM, Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math, Create Your Own Thing. So just to let you know that things may be listed a little differently than they have been in the past. And we're happy to help.
I'll actually show you.
Help kids
Becky,
find.
I'm going to sign this kid up for your club. I can show you what that looks like a little bit too. Becky, this kid's going to be in your club. So what was that one, Katie? It was STEM.
Yep, Create Your Own Thing. It'd be STEM, Create Your Own Thing. Yep.
Yep. So you'll see, county. So some of these, we had changed some of these at the state level. So they will have to look for those projects that will be listed by state project first and then county project second.
And we are working on a handout
We'll
that's
just
going to
go ahead and
break
create
that down for the county level as well, that we're going to get out to everybody as we get enrollments coming in. We're trying to just finalize that. So it's kind of like a cheat sheet too.
Yep. So show questions. It brings all the questions back up that they answered in the beginning. But now it's going to ask them more information about parents. They have a second option for a second parent. They have a second family option. Their school, if their school is listed, they would just click here to find which county their school's in. Otherwise, they can list the school down here. Homeschool. The military question for families. This is new this year, the health form. While it is not required for members to fill out a health form, we have added it to the enrollment process because with our events, when we host events, we require youth to fill out health forms when they're, especially if they're staying overnight. We have an extended version of a health form. So this is kind of the jump start to that. So when they sign up for register for events through the online system, they'll already have most of those questions answered. Again, this is not required for families to fill out at this point. They can skip this step if they choose to, but they could fill it out, and it's going to benefit too, and it'll benefit you as club leaders because eventually you'll be able to see this kind of information. So if something happens, there's emergency contact information, all those types of things you'll be able to see on a child's information. So if something's going on, you know how to help them. So like I said, they can go through, if there was anything, they click yes, and boxes would pop up for them to enter in any information. I'm going to skip down. I'm not going to fill out all of that for this child, but they would put their information in. They would sign the form down here. And it's good too, because when they get to an event registration, this comes back and they can update any information as needed, but it's also already filled, part of it's already filled in. Consents, so this is all their behavior forms that they filled out in the first version. They've read through all the conditions, they're going to behave themselves. Photo policy, they allow us to take their picture. And then they get to their payment option. If they're going to pay with credit card, they would add a new card here. It takes them to a separate portal like it did in 1.0, and they will fill out all their credit card information there, and then it brings them back to our site. If they're going to pay with a check, they'll select this down here where it says payment for this invoice will be collected by, mine says Training County. This would say Hendricks County for anybody signing up in your program. So they would hit apply here. Since you all are doing that awesome promotion because you have a donor, that's super awesome. We ask that they go ahead and just select check. So then they can put in their coupon code here. So then it will zero out their payments.
And on that note, Cara, because Shirley did ask that, so how will ours work with the enrollment fee? They'll have that coupon code. And if a kid has an issue with it only taking part of it off or it not working properly, we just ask that you let us know. And that is only good for October and November. So just make sure you call our office, have them call our office, and we'll see what's going on. There's a couple different things that it could be. But also if you have, for whatever reason, if there's a person that's outside of Hendricks County, like that's not doing 4-H and they're trying to use our coupon code, it will not work. Correct, Cara? It will not work.
Correct. Yep, it has to be towards the Hendricks County. You have to be enrolled in Hendricks County. Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. And this is a nice step because when they select check, it's like, oh, are you sure? So they have a chance to go back if they wanted to put in a credit card. They could also have another chance to put in the coupon code if they forgot in that first step. So then they'll click next, and they get a chance to look at what all they signed up for clubs and projects. They'll see their totals here, and then they'll hit submit. So that member has been submitted and is now sitting at the county office for them to approve. So with adult volunteers, I'm gonna just start an enrollment for an adult volunteer so you can see, we can talk about volunteer types. And we'll say they've been volunteering for a couple years. Let me just quickly. So again, like the 4-Hers, you would want to sign up as a volunteer. So with a volunteer, it jumps you right into volunteer types. So we kind of have a little cheat sheet for you here. So to select a volunteer type, for club volunteers, you would select, so the titles are club volunteer, program volunteer, and project volunteer. So for club volunteers, obviously that's the 4-H club leaders or club volunteers. Program volunteers are just other volunteers. So if you're on just committees, you could just select program volunteer for you to then be added to any type of committee or anything like that in groups. And that's something that's done on the manager side for the county. And then project volunteers for those who are project specific volunteers. So goat leader or sewing or any of those types of projects, you would select that project volunteer. Then you would add that. Do note with project volunteers, learn this is a new thing I learned the other day. So if you are a project volunteer for a county only specific, so if you were and this is kind of a bad example, but the create your own thing volunteer, you would have to select a club first, and then that project would show up for you. So county specific clubs, you have to go ahead and select club volunteer first and project volunteer for those things to show up, and I'll kind of show you what I mean. So I'll click next. So it gives me the list of clubs. So I'm going to switch this to Hendricks so you have that example. So he is signing up for Hendricks, and so he's so we're going to say that Andy is a project volunteer. So I'm going to select this Hendricks County 4-H Adult Project Leaders. In 1.0, you had to select a club. So even if you were just a project volunteer, so you're used to this step, you're used to clicking on Hendricks County 4-H Project Leaders as a club. But remember, you have to be a club volunteer and a project volunteer for this in order for this to work. So then I will click.
Real quick. So for council and fair board, they would be a program volunteer, correct? Because that would be, it's not a project and it's not a club. They're a program volunteer, correct?
Correct. Okay. Yes.
Thank you.
Yep. So then projects. So I automatically selected the Adult Project Leaders Club, the subjects, and then it has all the projects listed here. So you'll see like gift wrapping, scrapbooking. So if I was the gift wrapping project volunteer, I could click add to that. And then moving on with adults, it's just like the youth, you know, you go through the questions, make sure you answer all those. It's not as lengthy as the youth. The only question you actually have to answer as an adult volunteer that's not asked in the beginning is the military question, and then consents, and then you confirm, because obviously there's no payment for adult volunteers.
And volunteer training is done where, Cara?
Okay. Yep, I will see if I can quickly navigate through these. Oh, let's go. Yeah. Click them all? I didn't click them all.
And on my note, while she's
I went too fast.
just so everybody knows, all first-time volunteers, so if you have somebody that's wanting to help out in your program or project or club, they will still have to do that paper application and go through that process before they do this. So if somebody enrolls on 4-H Online before they go through that paper application, we will be checking that at the county level to make sure that we have paperwork for everybody before we approve them.
So once you get through the enrollment process, you'll submit as a volunteer. And it takes you right to the training. So you have that option to then just go right ahead and take the training. If you would log out and come back, if you would, so say I logged out, I came back in, and I come back to my member list where all my family members are, you'll see Andy Boilermaker. It'll say continue to training. So you'll be able to go in and continue to training. The county cannot approve you until you complete the training. That is the new mandatory step. You have to complete the training every year before they can even approve you. Okay.
We're doing great on time, Cara. I want to take just a minute really quick to make sure, are there questions that everybody has? I think I've answered all the questions in the chat box correctly, so I want to make sure, Cara. One was, how will parents know to mark check payment? I think that is an automatic, like it is selected as payment by check compared to payment by credit card automatically, correct? Or is payment by credit card selected?
So neither one is selected. So like, because in 1.0, check was automatically selected. Now it's not. Nothing is automatically selected. So you can go up and add a card, or if there's a card still on file, which if they were, they came over with a card, it's still there. They'll click on that card. Yeah, either one is actually selected now. Like they actually get a choice of which one, which is really nice because yeah, I know that was a big confusion in the last one.
Okay. And then somebody asked what the coupon code is. I will share that. I just have to relook it up because it's a couple random letters. It's not something that's like Hendricks Co. or anything. It's something, a randomly generated one. You can select as many volunteer types as are available, correct? You can select all 3.
Yep.
And then will we have the cheat sheet up by the time the hotline opens up? Yes, that is our goal. We're hoping it should be done fairly soon. We just have had a couple other snags that we've hit with our cheat sheet of what projects are located where. So we are doing great on enrollments. So we have, I think, about 300, or 200 kids. So we're pretty excited about that. Are there any other questions for Cara before we move on? Okay. So Cara, one thing before we go into like what leaders can see on the back side of things. Hold on, I'm gonna pull my, where'd you go? I'm gonna pull my PowerPoint back up to make sure I have all of the points. Volunteers need to make sure they have their birthday in there. If you do not have their birthday in there, what happens?
So it won't let you enroll. It'll tell you you're too old because it tells you that you're 227 years old. So because in 1.0, it was not required to have a birthday in 4-H Online. But now with the system, because of how it counts, and this helps too tremendously with kids who are at that 18 range, that 18-year-old range, so we can either direct them to be adult volunteers or if they're still youth because they're in their senior year. But everybody has to have a birthday in. At this time, you all actually cannot enter your own birthday, so you need to contact the office and let them know so then they can put in a birthday for you. So if you did not have a birthday in 1.0, you're going to know really quick when you get to 2.0 because you're going to try to enroll and it's going to tell you that you're not eligible. It's not because we don't want you back, it's because there's no birthday in there for you. So you'll need to contact the office and let them know so they can put that in.
And to be clear, we don't believe that any of you are actually 227 years old. So, any other questions before we jump topics to what leaders would be able to see from their end? I'm not seeing anything in the chat. So, next topic is up to you, Cara.
Okay, so project leaders and club leaders. Right now, the only one that has access, that has capabilities of access, I should say, is club leaders. Project leaders will get their access as well. I can't promise you what everything's going to look like just yet because I don't even know myself. They just magically are like, oh, hey, look, this is open. That's what I get a lot. But right now, club leaders can have a little bit of access to their club roster. That's what they can see right now. So I will show you what that looks like. So once you are an approved volunteer, the office can then give you login permissions. They will give you a code. It's called code on the manager side, but it's called PIN when you go to put it in. So it's just it's a unique digit. So it won't be like, I think if I remember right, in Hendricks County, it was everybody had the 4-H leader was what that password was. Well, now it's a very unique code per club. So to access your club, you'll log into your family account. You'll be on your member list where everybody in your family is listed. You will find you. So today I am Sally Boilermaker. And I will click on view next to my name. And then you'll see over here on this panel, you'll have all the information about yourself, what you've signed up for, groups you're in, clubs you're in, that sort of things. But if you are a 4-H club leader, you will click on clubs. And you'll see then that you can manage a club once you've been given access. And then you'll type in your PIN here. You'll see it's really unique. You'll click login. So for now, you see a roster. I do know, and I can promise this, you will be able to generate reports like you could in 1.0. You'll be able to see more information about your youth too. You'll be able to see what projects they're enrolled in. I believe you'll be able to see what other clubs they're enrolled into, just like you did in 1.0. But I don't know yet with project leaders what you'll be able to see. I've been told that you will be able to see more than what you could see in 1.0, so that's a perk. But like I said, I don't know when that will occur just yet. I know they are working on it and moving forward. But like I said, club leaders, you'll log in right now. You can see a roster. Nice thing is you see everybody regardless of what status they're in. So you can download the roster. And I know from here, all you see is an email and how old they are and what status they're in. But once you download the Excel, can y'all see my Excel? I need to share it differently.
Yes. Yep.
You can see it. Okay. So then you'll see more information. You'll get the email, you'll get parents' names, you'll get phone numbers, you'll get addresses, that sort of thing. So you do get a little more information when you download that roster. So, but for now, that, like I said, that is what they can see. Eventually, you will be able to generate reports. You will be able to see what projects they're in and that type of thing. But like I said, for now, this is what we've got for club leaders to be able to log in to view at least who's in their club.
And project leaders will maybe eventually have similar access?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes, we have asked that they get more than what they did previously, because I know before it was just you could log in and you got something kind of similar to this. You got just bare minimum about each member. So
All right, some things on our end that might help you right now as a club leader too. So you were able to get email information and you should be able to still download that, right, Cara? But you can't send emails through here, is that correct?
Right.
Right now anyway.
Right now. Yeah.
So our office, one nice thing about 2.0 is that we can now send emails with attachments. We weren't able to do that in 1.0. So if there's something that you would want to send out to club projects, group that you're working with 4-H, we are happy to do that as an office staff, have that ability to send that flyer, handout, whatever it is that you guys will be doing for your club's projects as well. So just wanted to put that out there that that is a new feature as well. And I'm looking at my notes too. Like Cara said, with the health stuff, eventually you'll be able to see that as well as a club leader, correct? So if you would do outside county events, you would work with us would work with me to get that extra insurance, but that would be a step that you would have. You wouldn't have to necessarily worry about getting the physical papers. You just do some follow-up questions eventually as well. Are there questions that you guys have for Cara? I'm looking at my PowerPoint. We're doing awesome on time. And that was just really the tip of the iceberg. We really wanted to just give you some basics tonight. So Cara has a little bit time left. Are there questions that you guys have or that you have been asked that would be beneficial for other people to maybe hear the answer to? Office has to send club emails. Is this temporary or not? Temporary for right now, until we know that there's still some bugs to work out with 2.0. We're happy to assist as much as we can, but we know that we would ideally eventually like, once we know that 2.0 is fully functioning for leaders, we'd love for you guys to be able to send that communication out. I believe we have all of our at least Ashley and I think, are attached to all of the projects and maybe all of the clubs as well. So theoretically, everything that's being sent out, we should also get a copy of as well. Can the system identify new to 4-H kids? That's a great question. I don't, Cara, would there be anything that specifically says, like, I've not been in 4-H? I don't think so. Unless it's just a first year?
Yeah, it's because, I mean, when they're enrolling, if this is their first year, they would just enter that one in there for years in 4-H. And then like that Contact Me Club, that'll be another indicator for counties.
That's a really good question, Becky. And we're trying to also figure out, we're working on some new family outreach as well. The way we pull it right now, it's kind of just by first year into the program. So that gets new to 4-H as well as new siblings maybe that are in 4-H as well. Another question is, had a member submit and forgot to select a project? When can they access to add more?
So that is also an issue that we're running into at the moment. So if they want to add a project, they're going to have to contact the county office, because we're working on getting that fixed, because we don't want to bombard the county office with just adding a project. Families should be able to log back in and add their own. But like I said, at this time, after they've submitted, if they need to add another project, they'll need to contact the office so they can get those added for them. Same with clubs.
Can we have 2 emails for one person? One go to the parent and one to the 4-H'er.
So I think how this works right now, hang on, let me go back to member list. So I think, yeah, so youth can still have their own email. So this is under this kid's particular profile. They could edit this information and add an email here. And then the family profile has an email as well. And then the parents, we have information on them. It's not listed under parent 1 and parent 2 at this time. It is for like the second household. But we still have the 2 options of a family account having an email and then the member themselves having an email.
And so to that point, Cara, would it be the way they pull the information that they would be able to see both of those emails? Or will it only, if they were to download a report as a club leader, will it only show the family report or the family email, or will it show both email?
I think from the roster, it just shows the family email, but when you're able to generate reports, you're going to see like what we see on our end to generate a report, and you're going to get all those fields of the member's email and the family email.
And I think when we send emails from the office, I believe we typically select email to member and email to family. So theoretically, they should be getting both to their personal email if they have that on there, as well as the family email.
Yeah. That's what I always recommend to people, is sending it to member and to family, and then you catch everybody, especially for those older members. Or even volunteers that are in a family account that aren't like necessarily like uncle somebody. So.
A little bit more about IDing new families for their club. When they download that report, will it tell what year that they are in 4-H, so that they would be able to see, like, this is a first year kid in my club?
Not currently in the roster. No, that's not listed under the roster. But again, when reports become available, you'll be able to get that information.
And we would be able to pull that though from our
Yeah.
end. So if you would ever be interested in that, and same I would say with tenure members right now, if you're curious what tenure members are in your program, project, club, we can run those reports as well. All right, other questions? These are great questions, guys. Thank you so much.
Yes. And I appreciate asking though with the roster questions, because I have this lovely wish list that I just keep adding to, and I send it to the developer people, and I just love it. But those are good questions, and those are good things to have.
One of the questions is there a way to keep medical info more private on the site? It seems like we are exposing a lot of health info to a lot of people. So, and I was, my perspective is only club leaders, project leaders would be privy to that information. It wouldn't be that Joe Q public that signs up as a volunteer would be able to see that.
Right, right. Yeah, club leaders have to have access to get to that information. And, you know, it's confidentiality when you sign on as a volunteer, so.
And not all families have to submit it. So
No.
If there's kids, for example, if there's kids that we take, and I don't know what Roundup will look like this year, but if we take kids to Roundup in a typical year and we had this system, I would assume there would probably be some follow-up anyway, and we would want to know any updates, any changes, because maybe they had their appendix out, or maybe they're now on crutches, and we want to make sure we have the most relevant information when we get ready to do events or programs that would require a health form too. I think that my thought is, and Cara, correct me if I'm wrong, that's kind of the basics, so that if we wanted to, in a non-COVID world, serve snacks at our organization, but we could see maybe somebody is allergic to peanuts, we know we need to say, okay, we cannot have peanuts at our event.
Yep. Like I said, yeah, like he said, it's not mandatory for them to fill that out in the beginning in the enrollment process. It's just going to help, especially for those older youth who will probably attend events. That's going to help jumpstart that process when they go to sign up for an event through the system. That's going to require them to do the extension of the health form.
The question, so it will sort by project in our club. For example, we could run a report for just those in the sewing project. Are they able to sort by projects in their club?
I would think so with a report, because how reports work, you should be able to sort by anything that you would want to. There's a lot of options in reports. Again, I don't know what it looks like for the club leaders just yet, but I'm going to assume it looks the same as it does for us. There might be a couple restrictions, but I know in 1.0, reports work the same way. So it should work the same way as it does for managers.
And do we have a timeline on when reports would be available?
I don't. I'm hoping by the end of the year, just because I know I'm on a call tomorrow with the development team. They're doing an update for us and they're already wanting to move into animal ID. So I'm hoping that these others are on a published, waiting to be published.
All right. Any other questions for Cara before we wrap up? All right. Cara, I'm going to have you stop sharing your screen. I'm going to share my screen one more time. Will we be able to access an application to help guide 4-Hers who are enrolling throughout the hotline? And Cara, I can explain the hotline to you in a little bit, but I will answer that question on my slide, actually. Yes. So let me share this. Because we've talked about having like a 4-H hotline where maybe after hours, a couple of days, people could call in and get help. Our office isn't open, 24/7. I want to make sure. Also, here is an example. When you log in and it says that you are too old to be in the program, that's what it'll pop up as 227. And we have updated our little bit.ly 4-H website. This is what we are sending all of our like new families to. This is what we have sent people that came to the open house. This is something where it's really just more basic than our regular website, because our regular website has some bugs to also work out as well. So on here, it's our Google site. You should be able to see HC 4-H information, 4-H online resources, and then down here are our guides that people can download. And these are our step-by-steps, lovely, made by Cara. Did a great job. And so there's step-by-step things for enrolling as a new volunteer, enrolling as a youth member, club leader login information, enrolling as a returning adult, and enrolling as a youth member. So that is on our little 4-H website. That link is on the PowerPoint that will also be shared again. And there it is again. Okay. Any other questions? I think I saw one maybe pop up in the chat box. Let me check it. And my chat box is way over here. Okay. They said we miss you, Cara.
Oh. I like your website. That's awesome.
Thank you. That was a brainchild of lots of different people, and we thought it would be a little easier to navigate than the website we were given, but it does link back to our Purdue Extension website as well. So
that's good. Well, we're getting ready to go under a big for our website's migrating too, so it's okay.
All right, well, there's no other questions. I am going to stop the recording and we will let Cara go for the evening. There is a survey that I have sent out to all of our volunteers to, I sent it out today to kind of talk about some ideas for what we want these topics to be in the future. This was just one that I knew that everybody would want to be a part of to get a little insight into what 4-H Online 2.0 looks like. So if you have other ideas or other needs that are upcoming that you would like to talk about in this series, please complete that survey. It's only just a couple questions. So we will be having one in November, hopefully to have that planned by the end of the week for a date and a topic as well. And we'll probably be doing most of them virtually. With the option of coming in person, this one was just a virtual topic, so it made sense to just do it on Zoom. So more information will be sent out as soon as we have that finalized. But I'm going to stop recording. If there's no other questions, we will say thank you so much to Cara for joining us. This is going to be uploaded to our YouTube for later viewing. And thank you, Cara. You were awesome and answered a lot of great questions. So. Great. Thank you everyone for joining, and we will talk to you guys later. And those of you that are joining council, I will get that Zoom meeting pulled up as well. I forget how to stop it. My Zoom. Thank you, Cara, so much.
You're welcome.
Uh,
I think you have to go up in your
where's my stop?